What's going on YouTube? Brezzy43 here. I am back with another video. It's a little late here, but I've been thinking about some stuff before heading up to bed here. So the ranked ladder has just reset. We finished at about, I think it was top 4,000, top 3,500, somewhere in there, which is pretty solid. I was pleased with that, considering that we didn't really start playing until halfway through the month. I'm going to be getting back on the grind here, most likely later this week. I have a couple busy weekends coming up here, but I should have some time during the week to do some more recordings with some more teams. But first, I kind of wanted to talk about some resources that I use to gather my information about VGC and kind of how to decipher it. So first and foremost, let's talk about Twitter. Twitter is something, I'm not a big social media person. A lot of my friends know this, but when I started to record, I set up a Twitter, and I was, if I continued to do something with Pokemon and got bigger, I would start posting on Twitter to kind of give updates for my YouTubes and whatnot like that. So I will definitely share that one with you. But I wanted to talk about Liberty Note. So Liberty Note is, let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Liberty Note is it's a Pokemon Twitter account that I believe, I don't know much about the creator of it. I know that they do a fantastic job of allocating teams at the end of every season. Now, I don't know for sure if they're only Japanese teams. I guess I haven't really figured that out. I recognize some of the names on the teams, but they post one every month. And here was the most recent one. So you can see, if you click on the link here and scroll down a little bit, you can see the teams that did the best on the ladder. So the number one team was a rain variation. I think this is Zacian. I think all of these are Zacian. But you can see what people are doing. If they have this is a link to their Twitter accounts. You can see that I've already been kind of clicking through and looking. Sometimes you'll see a link like this that'll take you to a team report that somebody did. So this is a fantastic tool that you can use every month to kind of decipher what the high ladder teams are doing. So if we take a look here, we click on this Twitter account. It is going to be in Japanese, so you might have to do some sifting. But if you scroll down just a little bit, boom, right here, they have a rental code. Just looking at the team, you can kind of decipher a bit of information about the team. Like, for example, this to me, looks like Draco Meteor, probably Muddy Water or a Hydro Pump, Hurricane, and Protect. This Politoed is carrying a Damp Rock. One attacking move could be Scald, could be Hydro Pump, most likely a Protect, Perish Song, and maybe a Helping Hand set. Earthquake, Rock Slide, Fly, Protect, or Swords Dance. Probably Swords Dance, if I were to guess, based on the set. You usually see Swords Dance with Lumberry. Zacian looks like it is actually carrying a Fairy move, and this is most likely Protect then, but could also be Substitute or Swords Dance. I would guess Protect, though. This looks like a Dragapult. It might be a support Dragapult, or it might just have a fire move teched onto it. It does have a sash, which makes me think it might be support, but I'm guessing could be Breaking Swipe, maybe Taunt is Dark type. I guess this could be an offensive Pult with Will-O-Wisp teched onto it, or a different fire move. And then this looks like Prankster. Usually when you see electric attacks with Thundurus, you assume Prankster. So this is something that you can kind of do. You can kind of glance through. Oh, I didn't mean to click out of it. You can kind of just scroll through and look at the top teams. But this is one fantastic resource that I would highly recommend. It looks like Benji's been doing really well with the Blastoise team, all featuring Calyrex, which is really cool. I also think I saw Paul Chua up here. Yeah, Paul Chua is on this list too. Fantastic player as well. So you can kind of see what people are doing, see what the general archetypes are. It goes all the way through top 30, which is really, really cool to see. So this is a really unique tool that you can use. The other one that I wanted to recommend, highly recommend, looks like there is an option to translate. Let's see what happens when we do that. Okay, it does translate to Zacian, which is great. Okay, so this might be kind of nice. Let's see if this works. Can we translate this to English too? Maybe not. Anyway, if you use your intuition and you take it slow, you can figure things out. You could also go to this person's rental code and just go for take the rental and just borrow it for a second and take a look at the moves. It's really easy to do, but definitely would recommend taking a look through. I did it again. Okay, just taking a look through the teams here is a really, really cool resource. I can zoom in a little bit so it's easier for you all to see. So yeah, this is Liberty Note. The other one I wanted to recommend is Reddit. Now, personally, I'm not a big Reddit person. I kind of despise Reddit. I think for the most part, it's largely just a dumpster fire. But Aaron Trailer and a few other people, I believe, it might have just been Aaron, started a RVGC, an RVGC subreddit. That is a fantastic tool that you can use. They also have a Discord that you can get into as well. If we take a look at the Discord here and we go to, I think it's right down. This is Magic stuff. Sorry, this is Magic the Gathering stuff. I think it's right here. RVGC. You can see there's a ton of stuff here that you can use. You can click through and decipher, but they do a fantastic job of keeping things up to date on Reddit. Sometimes there's memes you have to sift through, as you can see here. But there was something recent that I saw. Somebody posted. There's like rate my team stuff, discussion stuff. Anyway, I can't. There it is. They post the top 16 teams from the RVGC circuit. So there's some really cool stuff that was really surprising to me. First of all, if we take a look, there's only two Kyogre teams in the top, 16 teams. Two Kyogre in the top 16. Oh, it says top 16 right here. My bad. So two Kyogre in the top 16. This tells me that people have kind of figured out Kyogre, that Kyogre need to alter this sort of game plan here. I think this team here was something that people started to do recently, where they dropped Tornadus in favor of Dragapult. And then Kartana became Ferrothorn, so you could kind of play to like a late game Ferrothorn sort of win. 3 Lapras teams. This one was actually Lapras Sun, which is kind of cool. Otherwise, the other 2 are Lapras teams. But Groudon was the top 3 of 4 teams. Menino Hardim is a really good player too. That's Eduardo Cunha. He's in the top. Your battle room is Colin, another Twitch streamer. These guys had really cool teams. It looks like actually Eduardo and Colin were on the same team. Pretty close actually. Colin's got a Porygon and Eduardo's got a Feeny. So I like to do this. I like to just kind of take a look at these teams and kind of decipher through what people are doing. There's some really cool stuff here. This looks like pretty standard Sun, but with Screens, Grimmsnarl, and a Trick Room option here, which is pretty cool. This looks like a really unique take on Sun with Lilligant, which I really like. This is something that people did in 2019. Registeel as well as sort of an end game to get inside screens. 2 really solid modes here. But Lapras, Registeel are really hard to take down inside of screens. So this is pretty cool. And then I frequent Eduardo's streams, so I've seen this team in action. He's got some cool stuff here. But yeah, some really interesting stuff going on here. A lot of Groudon. Groudon is typically ran bulkier than Kyogre, so seeing Groudon succeed when everyone thought that Kyogre was the best Pokemon makes some sense to me. Groudon can actually compete against Lapras as well, especially when you see that there's 2 Charizards at the top of this as well, which is pretty cool to see. I really like that. I think that's really, really neat. So yeah, that's this tool as well. So these are 2 really solid tools that you can look at. Excuse me, and you can utilize to your advantage when deciphering information at the turn of the metagame. I know for me, it's hard sometimes to consistently play well enough to get to the high ladder area to play against some of these teams to kind of see how other people are doing it. Um, but some takeaways from this that I've seen is Groudon's really solid. Should not be slept on. Venusaur is still a really strong choice. Um, 4 of the top 6 teams had Venusaur. This is a Venusaur without Groudon as well. It looks like Porygon is on 3 of these top teams, but it also, I see a Mimikyu. I see 2 Mimikyu in the top 8 teams. So Mimikyu is a Trick Room setter that people are pairing now with Calyrex, because you can side Shadow Sneak Calyrex and get a weakness policy boost. And Disguise is a better mechanic right now than Dusclops can offer, because Dusclops can do the same thing as Mimikyu, right? Dusclops can Shadow Sneak a partner as well. But Dusclops really needs to have Nightshade to be able to deal any damage. And it has really solid support moves, but Mimikyu's ability Disguise is really what makes it a solid Pokemon, because you can almost guarantee that Trick Room is going to go up. There's not a whole lot that can stop it, especially if you pair it next to something like Incineroar, right? Like, you can fake out one thing and then your Disguise might get busted, but it doesn't matter because you're going to just set up Trick Room, and you know for sure that you can take one hit. On top of that, Calyrex Ghost Rider is really popular. Not necessarily here, but I think Liberty Note had some Calyrex. There's 1, there's 2, 3, 4. So 4 Calyrex in the top 30, which is pretty surprising, actually, considering that the format is dominated a lot by Incineroar. That was one takeaway as well. Incineroar is on, I think I did the math, 11 out of 16 teams. Real quick, just doing the calculation. I think that's like upper 60, low 70%. Yeah, 68.7% of teams have an Incineroar, which is nutty. But yeah, there's Mimikyu's Disguise ability allows it to, you'll always be able to get Trick Room up against an Indeedee Calyrex lead, because your opponent will attack first with Calyrex, which means that you can the first attack will pop your Disguise, and then you'll take the Expanding Force from the Indeedee, which you'll take very well because Indeedee's not a very offensive mon. Also important to note, there are 3 redirection users in the top teams, and only one of them is a Moongus. We see Butterfree here, which is pretty cool, and Volcarona, which I've used before too and really enjoyed. I might have to give Butterfree a try too. Really interesting stuff here. Just kind of looking through, so Mimikyu's kind of taken over as the Trick Room setter. A lot of Incineroar, a lot of Groudon at top tables or at top teams. Some Charizard, some Venusaur, 3 Lapras. We see a couple of interesting ones here. Palkia. I did not expect Palkia to do very well. We also see a Colossal team, which is pretty cool. Metagame dominated by Kyogre originally. I did not think Colossal was going to succeed, so that's pretty cool to see. Yveltal's here. We've got a Necrozma Duskmane. We've got 2 Yveltal, actually. But a lot of Groudon. Interesting thing to note as well, it looks like there was a bit of a resurgence in, I know from watching that Eduardo's Thundurus is defiant and offensive, and I would assume Collins is as well. And then I also saw Thundurus here. This one probably is as well. So we start to see a little bit more of these defiant users, because a lot of teams were packing, like this one, like Domingo's, were packing 2 Intimidate users. This is actually, I think this is Fevzi and Feiss's team. Yeah, so really interesting. A lot of Alecki as well. A pretty good amount of Alecki. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 16, almost 50% had Alecki. Which is super cool. Some Finny. I did not expect to see a lot of Finny either. So this is the VGC stuff. This is the Liberty Note stuff. I would highly recommend taking a look at both of these. Become a member of this Discord. You don't have to really, participating is always encouraged, but I think they have a link to it now. Perfect. That's really cool. Okay, so if we go back and back again, you can kind of sift through this and find some stuff. I like looking at Rate My Team posts just to kind of see what people are doing. Maybe leave some comments to try to be useful. But I would highly recommend this. So this is a fantastic tool that you can use to really help improve your metagame analysis once you get to this time. And taking a look at some of these teams, we have Kingdra at the number 1 team, a Colossal at number 2. This person doesn't seem to have a team listed here. Sableye, which is pretty cool. There's 3 Venusaur in the top 6 of this one as well. There's Benji's Blastoise team with Dusclops instead of the Mimikyu. So interesting there. Another Venusaur team with Calyrex Shadow Rider. Sun seems to have made a resurgence as well, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting stuff. So I would definitely highly recommend taking a look, analyzing through here. Looks like there was a Zekrom. There was a Zekrom team here that did well. Ho-Oh was on this team. Some really cool stuff to definitely take a look at. I would highly recommend sifting through this, but that's enough about this. I've spent 15 minutes here looking at this stuff with you. I wanted to touch on kind of the moving forward for me with this next season. So I really enjoyed this team. I really liked this team. I thought it had a lot of things to offer. The one thing I think I'm going to put on the shelf for right now is the Raichu. I'm a little bit worried that I haven't been losing very many games with it. I think I only lost like 1 or 2 once I actually got into Master Ball. So I definitely want to keep it in the back pocket, so to speak. But I'm a little bit worried that, I'm a little bit worried that I might be pigeonholing myself a little bit because I want to use this Pokemon and I like this Pokemon, and I'm worried that it might not be the best option for me to choose. I've been finding that Amoonguss is a fantastic piece to this team and really, really necessary. My initial thought was to cut the Raichu or cut the Amoonguss. I really like Incineroar, and I really like this Incineroar set. The safety goggles has been really good for me, and it's a really nice tool against Sun. So I think that I want to have Amoonguss and Incineroar on this team still, so that left the Raichu being removed. Now, you might be asking why I want to make changes. I just want to explore some options. I think that Raichu obviously pushes the Kyogre matchup a bit farther in one direction, but if a lot of these top teams are using non-Kyogre teams, if a lot of them are using Sun, I want to have a better time against Sun, and I think Regieleki gives me that over Raichu. And so I think it's going to be important to moving forward, maybe bench the Raichu for now and revisit it at another time if I find that it's not working out for me or whatever. I still have this bred in the game. I still love this set, but for now I think I'm going to remove it. And what I think I'm going to put on this team instead is actually going to be Regieleki. I went back and forth for a long time. I looked at a Zapdos set that's a bulky Zapdos that pairs nicely against the Sun teams, but I ultimately didn't want to expose myself to more weaknesses. I already had 3 ground weaknesses with the Raichu. And Zapdos gives me a second immunity, which is really solid, but it adds another ice weakness, which we have 3 of those already. And granted, we do have 3 resists to ice as well, but it also gives me a 4th rock weakness, which I didn't love. And Zapdos, it doesn't really contribute all that much to how I've been playing the team. And I still want to explore this set for sure. I think this is a really solid set. But I think I'm going to, I should put this Raichu back and just copy the team. into another one so I don't lose this. I can throw this back together really fast. 20, 196, 76, 36, Volt, Switch, Big Out, Muzzle, and Thunderbolt. Okay, so if we just take this entire team here and just grab another one here quick, and then cut this out and add the Alecki. This will let me save my work on the other one. So Regieleki, I think I'm gonna start off with a magnet. I could put the sash here technically, but I think I'm gonna try magnet, and I think I'm gonna go with protect, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and Electroweb. This is a really standard Alecki set. I think everyone's been moving into max speed now because of the I think everyone's been moving into max speed now just because of everyone else is doing it. It's one of those things that you kind of get forced into doing it. You kind of have to speed tie with a Pokemon like this. It's like Tapu Koko in the previous formats. I think I'm actually going to do Focus Sash. I think I like Focus Sash. But this is going to potentially give me better game against some other things. And I think Moltres will continue to help me against the other matchups as well. This is where I'm going to be moving forward with this team. But what I wanted to talk about next was, if y'all remember my team here, this one. I played this team in Players' Cup qualifiers, and I did not, unfortunately, give myself enough time to explore what this team could offer enough, and I also didn't give myself enough time in the actual qualifier to play all my matches, and I lost. I had a decent chance for a little while, and then I lost a few games in a row, went on a little bit of tilt, and just didn't have enough time on Sunday to finish my matches. But I'm wondering if this new trend that we've been seeing with these Calyrex Ice teams can correlate on a team like this. And I think Paul was actually doing something with it. Let's take a look. Yeah. So Paul Chua had a very similar team, except he had a bit of a fast mode here with the Alecki and the Urshifu. So he says he's retiring this team, but he's got it looks like Mental Herb has been the new thing here. Leftovers Finny, Focus Sash Magnet. He went with AV, which is really interesting, and then Incineroar. So if you remember how this team played out for me, it was a very setup-oriented team. We played Protect the Queen with Akaberry and Moongus for the Glastrier, and Porygon to set up Trick Room, and had Eerie Impulse to help mitigate damage. Really bulky Shukaberry Incin, and then a Rotom Wash to also be a setup option with 2 forms of redirection. This is a very classic, like, quote-unquote good stuff's switch-in team, right? You pivot around for positioning, and then you set up with either Glastrier or Rotom and sweep. Usually Glastrier. Glastrier was the common one. So if people are doing Calyrex now, Calyrex Ice has absolutely nutty stats. Like, absolutely nutty stats. If we compare it next to Glastrier, let's take a look. So you did get an extra 20 points in speed that you don't want, but you got an extra 20 points in all the other stats. Literally, you went from 145 to 165, 130 to 150, and 110 to 130. This thing's insane. So Paul ran an Assault Vest set, which I don't mind, but I actually think that Weakness Policy might be a better option, because this Mimikyu is a really cool Pokemon right now to pair with Calyrex. So Calyrex, from my understanding, most people will run Glacial Lance is the move. Yeah. 130 base power, 100% accurate. They'll run Close Combat, and they'll run Earthquake. No, High Horsepower. Yeah. Okay. And then the last move could be Protect, could be its own Trick Room because it can set its own Trick Room. Things like that. Paul ran a Steel move, which I think a lot of people do too. No, he ran a Grass move. He skipped the close combat. He went for the defense boosting moves and then the Grass move. I wonder why. Maybe there was something he wanted to hit specifically with this Grass move. What does it even get for a Grass move? Calyrex, Pokedex. Let's take a look. I guess we could just look in Showdown too. What do you get for a Grass move? Seed Bomb, Bullet Seed, Solar Blade. So it's either like Solar Blade or Seed Bomb, or he's running Aromatherapy to heal himself from being burned, which I could definitely see that being something that you would do. I ran a Lumberry on my set for Players Cup, but this thing is like, you really need to protect it well. Paul did have Tapu Fini, which makes me think that maybe he did not run Aromatherapy, but I would have a feeling it would be an offensive Grass move. But Mimikyu, you can run a Mental Herb on Mimikyu to prevent it from being taunted, and then you can go with Shadow Sneak, Trick Room, and then you kind of have some options. Some people run Play Rough. Some people run... I've seen Swords Dance. I've seen Woodhammer. I've seen Taunt. I've seen Will-O-Wisp. I've also seen Safeguard. So there's a lot of different options you can run on the team. Now, Paul opted for Fini, and I think these other teams, at least one of them has a Fini. And I think the main reason why you would run Fini on this team is to protect your Calyrex from being burned. And honestly, that's not a terrible idea. It removes the necessity to run a fairy type attack on Mimikyu, which is interesting and cool. But yeah, I could see this being something that would be like an option. But once you've kind of got this set up with, if you don't run weakness policy as well, you don't need to run Shadow Sneak. You can run something a bit more offensive like Phantom Force or something. But if we take my team idea from before and we pair it with a Moongus, and then on top of that we pair it with a Rotom Wash, and then we pair it with an Incineroar, we have a really solid Fire, Water, Grass core here. I'm really impressed with Amoonguss and Incineroar right now. I think Amoonguss and Incineroar are fantastic Pokemon to be using right now. I think it's really, like, they're really, really solid Pokemon. This gives us two reliable ways to set up Trick Room. We can run Amoonguss and Mimikyu, or we can run Incineroar and Mimikyu. And then Rotom fits the style of team pretty nicely because it's a really solid pairing alongside Amoonguss and Incineroar to set up a Nasty Plot and sweep. Now, you don't necessarily have to run Nasty Plot. I think you do want to run a Hydro Pump and Thunderbolt. I personally really like Protect on this Pokemon, but I think Nasty Plot could work. I've seen Eerie Impulse. I've seen Will-O-Wisp. There's a lot of different things you can do. I think I'm going to stick with my usual Incin, but I think I might go with Safety Goggles just because... yeah, I think we want to have answers to sleep because we don't really have answers to sleep right now. Like I don't really want to run Fini, especially if I'm going for like a pivoting status sort of team. Like Incineroar and Amoonguss can switch around very nicely, get Regenerator stuff going. We have Trick Room on Mimikyu. We could even run Trick Room on Calyrex as well. And then the last mon is kind of up in the air. I was thinking Moltres would probably fit pretty well. Everyone knows that I love this Pokemon a lot, but we all know that Incineroar is primarily ran for its dark typing for defensive purposes. But it's not. It doesn't usually carry an offensive move, but the Moltres uses Dark typing as offensive. So you have the policy here. You could just run a Life Orb here, and you could go for like Protect. You could run Taunt. You could run Nasty Plot. I like Nasty Plot a lot. Fiery Wrath, and then Air Slash. You could also run like another tech move there. But if you're running Moltres, then this seems like a pretty decent set. You don't have to run Moltres, obviously, but this is one potential direction I could see taking this team. And we're going to run Flare Blitz, Fake Out, Parting Shot most likely. Could be U-Turn. U-Turn might be okay too. That way you can still go around. If like the other thing is we still have an Assault Vest open, so Assault Vest could go on one of these Mons. Parting Shot. And then you can run Snarl here. I really like this Incineroar set that I had. I really like. I still think running a lot of speed on this is really important. And I think I was this, I believe. This looks right. I can go back and take a look at my Incin. No, 52. Well, I increased the speed on that one. That's right. I think this is what I was doing before. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. I increased the speed on Incin and on Lapras. I wanted to test that out too. Okay. So this Incin, I teched for something with the defense, and then the Spadef boosted nature. If they're running if we take a look at I was looking at Lapras calcs. If we're running 236, we actually, we had 100. We actually have a pretty reasonable chance to survive max special attack, max geyser. And I know a lot of people don't even run that. A lot of people they're down to like 196, which if you can see, we have a very good chance of surviving that. I know Fevzi's team was running 196 because it's where you get the nature jump. So you have a very good chance of surviving this, and we probably outspeed it too, just given how much speed we're running on Incin. So this could be a really solid Incin set to pair along with this team. Amoonguss and Incineroar can give you a really nice chance to set up a Nasty Plot. And then Rotom, I think Citrus Berry is obviously good for Rotom. You have to run, well, you don't technically have to, but running almost max HP is really good. I like getting the even number for the Citrus Berry to proc at exactly half. It doesn't really matter that much, but I personally like it. Whatever, I don't know what our speed stat would be that we'd be calcing for necessarily, but I think somewhere around like 100, like above 121. What did I run in the Players' Cup? .108. I ran 108. Okay. Okay, 120. It's a reasonable speed stat to hit, and then I think I hit the jump here. Let's see. Wait, there it was. 36, so 116. And then I could go like, I think 20 is reasonable, right? 20. If you wanted to be like evenly bulky. You could also just like forego this extra bulk and go for this. This is one potential like spread. What did I do? I should have just copied this. I did that. So you could do either one. And then you can kind of tech whatever move you want here. Amoonguss, I don't know what bear we would want. This might be an Akaberry set. We don't have a good flying resist though, other than we do have Rotom, I guess. But Akaberry protects the Calyrex really, really nicely. And then you would obviously run Protect, Spore, Rage Powder, and then whatever your last move would be. Could be Sludge Bomb, could be a grass move, could be Pollen Puff like I was running, and then probably doing the same thing that we were doing before with a Sassy Nature. I think Zero Speed and Moongus is really important on this team when you're talking about setting up your own Trick Room. And then going for something like this. Calyrex, probably going to be straightforward. I would probably start with this. and go with a Brave Nature. Ideally, you would grind for a 0, but if you can't, it's really not that big of a deal. I've seen some people go for something, if you're not going to go AV, I've seen some people EV down to the jumps. I don't even know where his happened at. There. You could go to 196 and then just dump the rest into Spadef. And this would like give you a little bit of extra cushion, because if your weakness policy, chances are you don't need the full attack investment, but max HP is really important. Mimikyu, probably going to be running a support Mimikyu here. I think Play Rough is pretty solid. And then maybe we could tech Taunt somewhere if we need to, but the other option I was thinking about too was Safeguard. Safeguard seems really good, but for this type of a Mimikyu, I'm not going to be investing in speed. You've seen some people before that will go like max attack, max speed, and they'll run like a mixed Mimikyu. They'll run like Trick Room, Swords Dance, Play Rough, and Phantom Force. I think Wolf did that, and somebody else did that too, where you could get, if you paired it with an Airstream user in a best of 3 situation, you could get an Airstream off and a Swords Dance off on turn 1, and then you'd have a boosted Mimikyu, which doesn't really hit that hard, but it hits reasonably hard. But I think I would be going for a bulky set. I probably would be going something like very minimal here, maybe even 0. And then probably a defense boosted nature. Something like this probably, because getting the minus speed nature is not really that great for a 96 speed Pokemon. But my understanding with Mimikyu is that the bulk is very weird on Mimikyu, because you don't, like, Mimikyu is already set up in such a way to survive the hits that it's meant to survive, and then it dies to a lot of the hits that it would normally die to. So what I mean by that is, like, we could do something like this. What I mean by that is Mimikyu, like, I don't think is there even a calc you can do with Mimikyu to survive Mystic Water Spout? I don't even know. It would probably be worth looking at, but let's see. Mimikyu, blank set, level 50, Kyogre, blank set, level 50, 252, Modest, Life Orb, or not Life Orb, Mystic Water, Water Spout, In the Rain. Oh, this is Dynamax as well. Yeah. So if we go 252, 252, like, you still can't survive that. So, and they could go for like they could attack you with Tornadus if they suspect that you're Mental Herb. They can attack you instead of taunt you, and then go for like HP, or go for a Water Spout afterwards, and then you're just cooked. So I think going for something like this would probably make sense. This I don't know if this exact spread is what David Kutesh talked about in his video, but I kind of got some inspiration from him with this set, or with this idea to make this team. I think he did have a lot of defense like this too, but I don't know if this is his exact spread. It might be. I watched his video yesterday, and I kind of got some ideas from him. So I do think that there's a potential shell here that would be really solid with this orientation for the team. If we look at the Butterfree, has a lot of my attention here. The reason why, I mean, Butterfree's stat total is abysmal. Let's go to a new team here real quick. Butterfree's stat total is absolutely atrocious. Yeah, 395. Its base stat total is 395. But Butterfree gets a really, really cool ability called Compound Eyes, which gives you a 30% accuracy boost. So it automatically carries your Focus Sash, because it's, look at these stats. But you can run Hurricane, and you get a 30% increase to your accuracy. It doesn't stack additively, unfortunately. But if you, I'm trying to think here for a second, you would do 30% of 70, and you would get how much you add on. So let's take a look at, let's pull up the calculator again. So 70 is the accuracy times 0.3. Add that on, you're looking at a 91%. 70 plus 21 is 91. Rage Powder, Sleep Powder, and Protect. And Sleep Powder is a 75% accurate move. Let's do the same thing. 75 times 0.3. Oh, that was not right. 75 times 0.3. Rounded is 22. You're looking at 97% accurate Sleep Powder. 75 plus 22. 97% accurate Sleep Powder. And coming off of a base 70 speed stat is not terrible. You would probably go for something like this, and then you would probably go with Timid. So you've got essentially 100% accurate Sleep Powders and Hurricanes. Because you're not running a bug move, there's no reason to run Gmax Butterfree. Gmax Butterfree saw a little bit of utility in some of the other. Thanks for the update, computer. Gmax Butterfree saw a little bit of usage in the early days of VGC with Gmax carrying like Pollen Puff or something, but this would be the set that I would recommend if you're going to go with Butterfree. I might try it. I don't know, but talking about the same Pokemon, Calyrex Ice, and Mimikyu, because Mimikyu I think is a really solid Pokemon. Another option is to go with the classic Sun route. Torkoal Venusaur is really solid. Venusaur doesn't give you 100% accurate sleeps, but it does give you chlorophyll, and Torkoal gives you another. I would imagine that you would go for something like this. Protect, Heat Wave, Eruption. Double Fire is really important on this set, so if you take damage, you can still deal damage. And then probably like Earth Power. Or Scorching Sands is an option as well. But then you would run like something like this. And you're going to run Brave. You're probably going to be 0 speed, so you underspeed what you need to underspeed. And then Venusaur, we could go with our bulky Venusaur set that we made before. That was modest. It was like modest. We hit our second jump here. Where was it? It was 150 something, I think. 154, yeah. And then we did like 116, I think, or 108. 4. That's way too much speed. We had way more bulk than that, didn't we? I think I had a. Let me go back and look at my Venusaur from this Sun team. I think I had a spread that. Yeah, this spread survives max airstream from Lando. So 164 and 28. 164 and 28. And then your remaining 156 you can plug here. Probably going to go like Protect, Sleep Powder. Well, that's the thing, is you kind of have to choose between both of them. You kind of have to choose between Sleep Powder and Protect. I think that I would probably want... We don't even necessarily need to run Sleep Powder. We could just run Protect, Earth Power, Leaf Storm, and Sludge Bomb. And then I think Landorus is the better Intimidate user on a team like this, because you would really benefit from the Airstream boosts. Did we just build this guy's exact team? Yeah, we did. Because I was going to say Butterfree would actually fit here. That's hilarious. Okay, well. Okay. Butterfree actually works really well on a team like this. I think Lumberry is probably what I would go with. And then I would go with Earthquake, Rock Slide, Swords Dance, and Fly. And then I don't know what people are doing with this Mon. I'd have to look into some sets. I'm trying to keep this video a little bit shorter here. It's getting a little bit long, but this is something that I see people do. I also see people go Adamant. But Lando would give you a really nice way to fight opposing fire types. You've got Torkoal to deal with opposing steel types. And then I actually was going to say that Butterfree would work really well here. This gives you It doesn't give you a second grass type, even though Moongus would work here too technically. But Moongus compounds a lot of your typings. This gives you a second ground immunity. Unfortunately, Butterfree is weak to like everything under the sun. Let's look at Butterfree quick. Not everything under the sun, but it does have 5 weaknesses, 1 to 4 times. It does pick up a couple of double immunities and a resistance to bug, but with this 50 defense stat, I don't even know if it could take like a close combat from something, and then a ground immunity as well. But the nice part about Butterfree, what I was going to say, is Butterfree actually does a really nice job of dying when you need it to die. So if you run Protect, Hurricane, Rage Powder, and Sleep Powder, this thing will die very easily with a Rage Powder. So you can go for something like Rage. You can lead Mimikyu Butterfree, and you can go Rage Powder Trick Room, and then bring in Calyrex, and just start sweeping. And even if they don't, like even if they are smart and don't take a knockout, you still have Hurricane coming off of a not that high of a speed stat, and you still have the ability to switch around. Mimikyu's not very fast if we run the same set as before, and we can pivot into Torkoal, Calyrex. So this team's got some really interesting modes as well. It's got Butterfree Lando for Rage Powder Swords Dance. It's got Butterfree Mimikyu for Rage Powder Trick Room. It's got Venusaur Torkoal, or Venusaur Mimikyu, or Venusaur Lando. So I think that this team's got a lot of cool directions that it can go in. But I was thinking about Torkoal potentially alongside this sort of a Trick Room team, because Calyrex Ice, even though it does get a ground move, it's going to struggle a little bit against steel types, specifically like Zacian or something, or like Metagross or Solgaleo. Torkoal's going to help those matchups a lot more. We do have a bunch of Pokemon with ground coverage though, so I'd be curious to see if we could get our hands on Snoot's team here and see what he ran. Alternatively, something like this team does work as well, though I don't love, like, I'm a bit of I don't like running Tapu Fini on teams that want to status you, like Sleep Powders and Will-O-Wisps and whatnot. So I don't love that personally, but I understand that you control the mons yourself, so there's a way for you to do that. You can get around that or whatever. So I think I might go for this, one of these teams. I like the idea of trying this one too, just because I think that this style of team is really like up my speed as well. It's very similar to the Lapras team, pivoting around for positioning, or having elements of your team that can pivot around. I love Mimikyu. Mimikyu is one of my favorite Pokemon. And then like Incin and Amoonguss, potentially running like Volt Switch on Groudon would be cool too. Just to like pivot around and be annoying and position myself accordingly. So yeah, just to kind of wrap up here, I know I did a lot of talking. I'm going to definitely keep using this Lapras team, probably move into Regieleki from here and try that out for a little while, and see how that goes. And then I'm also interested in building with this Mimikyu Calyrex style of team. Like I said, you should definitely check out Hamster Mania VGC for the Mimikyu spread. He talks about this team a lot in depth. He goes for some different stuff. I really like the idea of trying to mix in my team that I ran at Players Cup with this style of team, because I think it works. I think it fits. It's a setup oriented team, which definitely works for what we're trying to do. So I really like that. And then this Sun component is really cool too. I did not mean to copy this guy's team directly. The reason why I like Landorus on a team like this is because you really want to have a rock type Pokemon, or a Pokemon that has high offensive stat that can rock slide stuff, because you really need to try and deal with fire types. Opposing fire types are a big deal, because Venusaur can't really deal with them, especially like Rotom Heat. Torkoal can't really deal with them, and Calyrex Ice can't really deal with them either. So like having a rock type to hit Rotom Heat and Charizard and things like that is really important. And I ran a team very similar to this in my first Players Cup that I did very well with, that did feature a form of redirection. I had Togekiss instead of Butterfree, but this could honestly be a Moongus, this could be whatever, but Butterfree helps us to not compound our types, right? We don't have a second Grass type or a second Fire type if we were to run Volcarona. We also don't have a second Poison type, which, you know, we check a lot of boxes here, which is really cool. The only thing we compound is Flying, but yeah, so that's going to be it for me today. This was a bit of a longer video, but I hope you enjoyed this type of content. Definitely would recommend checking out Liberty Note and checking out our VGC. They're fantastic resources that every VGC player should know how to utilize to get information. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Definitely check out this stuff. Check out Hamster Mania. He does a fantastic job of explaining a bit more about the Mimikyu. And if you like this style of team, feel free to copy it as well. I definitely enjoyed it and found it really, really solid. So yeah, I will catch you all in the next video. And the next time we make a video, we will be laddering with one of these teams. So I'll talk to you all later.